Watch till the end if you want to learn how to create your own RAG agent to be an expert in anything you want. Hey guys, I'm Harshan and I help businesses use AI to grow faster, save time, and to cut manual work. And in this video, I'm going to explain what a RAG agent is and how you can use it for your own life and business. A RAG agent stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is pretty much a way of saying that it's a system that can intelligently retrieve information from a central repository and formulate reasons to answer your questions and anything else that you want to extract and understand from that repository. So in this particular video, I'm sharing a RAG agent that I built to help me with my own AI consulting agency, Flow Laminar. And the brains of this particular RAG agent are all the contents that are part of this particular school community that I am in, which is all about AI consulting. Shout out to Nick Saraiev's Maker School community. It's got a ton of valuable stuff, which I always want to be kept front of mind. And hence why I built this RAG agent so that I can constantly use it as a sparring partner to ask questions, to clarify any doubts, or to generally help steer me in the right direction with my business as I make moves forward. So going back to this diagram over here, this good looking fellow over here is me. And essentially the RAG agent represented by this circle with a bundle of different little circles inside, which are all the different knowledge points. And the way that I went ahead to create this RAG agent for all of the content in that particular Maker school community is via NotebookLM and n8n. So let me first go through the method of NotebookLM to create that RAG agent. So if you go to notebooklm.google and you click try NotebookLM, or if you don't have already an account, you'll have to sign up. But once you sign up, you ultimately create a new notebook by clicking on this icon. And I've gone ahead and done that. And this particular notebook here, 251121 Maker School Cool Score Course Contents, is that notebook. And what I have done is I have uploaded all the contents of the courses, the tutorials, the discussion calls, and all of that stuff that's here within this particular Maker School and within each of these tiles into that Google Notebook. So that's the brains of the RAG agent right there. And the way I did it is I created a Python script using the help of Claude, which automatically scraped the contents of each of those pages within Maker School. You don't have to go through that lengths to do it for your own purposes. What you could simply do is go to each of those pages that are relevant, copy all of the information by highlighting it, copying it, and pasting it in a Word doc, and ultimately going back to your notebook and clicking on this add resource button and uploading that particular Word document. And the same thing happens where the brains of that particular notebooks, aka RAG agent, gets uploaded. And once you complete that process for your desired output, you can essentially start asking questions. So let me ask a question let me say, I am feeling stuck today. How best should I reach out to get more clients? And it's thinking and retrieving information. And the thing I like about NotebookLM especially is the LLM behind this is really solid because it doesn't hallucinate it much and gets all its input from what you actually input into its brain. So here key aspects are consistent daily revenue generating activities. Upwork cold email communities, focus on consistent action, prioritize revenue generating activities, system over motivation, use accountability, which are all really highly specific things that were discussed that are constantly discussed in that school community. So and that's the purpose of it. And it goes into greater detail, and it also gives you locations here through these numbers of where it found that information, which identifies with each of these particular sources. And in the free version, you have a limit of 50 particular resources you can upload, but if you upgrade, you can increase that limit further. And you could do even more cool stuff in NotebookLM by clicking on the mind map feature that could generate a mind map from all the different contents that you've uploaded. You could create video overview, reports, quizzes, slide decks. Clicked on the mind map. It's taking a bit of time to load. hopefully it generates something not too long of a time. And yeah, so let's go and create that. And let's look at this. Here the mind map was selected and past the first automation customer. It branches out into further things, goals, success factors. Yeah, there you go. So that's one way in which you can create your own RAG agent on the contents that you want using NotebookLM, which is a simpler and very reliable method. Now, moving on to the second method in which I created a RAG agent, I use n8n, the workflow builder, and I created this workflow you see right here. And in this workflow, I've got this particular workflow at the start, which I use to upload contents to my RAG database, and this particular workflow at the bottom, which answers queries by tagging on and retrieving information from that particular RAG database. And the way it works here is this Google Drive trigger node is triggered each time that there's a change in this particular file, such as a document that's uploaded. Once it's triggered, it downloads that file and it enters it into a Pinecone vector store. And the Pinecone vector store is essentially a particular kind of RAG database or vector store that is out there in the market, and I've found it reliable for these kinds of applications where it can effectively store and organize textual data, such as what I have for this particular Maker School community RAG agent. And yes, I've used it in this particular video, in this particular workflow. And it essentially uses the brains of OpenAI to chunk in all of that information that was downloaded from that Google Drive folder into a very accessible format within that particular Pinecone vector database. And I'm going to give you this workflow here to download to use in the description below. And I don't want to labor too much into the mechanics and the details of how essentially the Pinecone vector store works. But if you do want to, just please write that in the comments and I can create another video going over it. But just at a high level, how it works is you click on it, you create a credential, you select your Pinecone index. And again, each of those data repositories are known as an index within Pinecone here. And going back, keep these settings as they are and make sure that the dimensions here in the embedding to OpenAI match for 512 matches the dimensions that we have here, such as what it says in this index 512. And particularly this refers to how the data is getting chunked inside Pinecone vector store. And again, I don't want to get lost in the details there. If you want a video on that, please say that in the comment and I'll do that for you. And then the second half is to retrieve that particular information from the RAG database. I've connected a Telegram bot here through this particular node, which connects to an AI agent, which retrieves information from that Pinecone vector database, and it spits out that particular message right there. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that right now. And again, the reason why I'm using Telegram is it's a free option that I can interface from my phone very easily with that particular RAG database that I've created. So here it is. That's the particular bot. I've labeled it 251107 Maker School RAG. And if I say stuck on how best to approach my client outreach, give me some ideas on how best to get new clients. And I send it, and that pretty much triggers this particular workflow. And if I go to the executions tab, there it's already answered that particular query, and it's given me a whole spiel of high ROI items that I can do, such as Upwork, cold email, and those sorts of things, which are again key things that are discussed in this Maker School community over here. And yeah, that's another way in which you could create your RAG agent that is a bit more involved, but ultimately achieves the same concept of having a specialized brain that can answer all your queries about a particular data point, a database, or a topic. And just to end the video, to summarize, the best way to create a RAG agent, you can do it through so many different ways, but ultimately there's one way that's quite simple, NotebookLM, and then you could use another way, which is n8n, which is a bit more nifty and customizable, where you could load things into a vector store such as Pinecone. I hope you got something out of it. And if you're interested in tapping into learning and discussing these kinds of AI related concepts to boost your life and business, please subscribe and like this video for more. So until next time, take care. Bye for now.